To kick us off, thank you everyone for coming to today's community of practice, using Lucid to facilitate engaging learning experiences. And today we actually have a real life person coming from a higher ed institution, Christopher, and I'm sorry, I didn't ask you how to pronounce your last name, but I'm thinking Cardenas. Am I saying it right? Did I butcher it? Okay.
No, you're good. Yeah, her name is great. Yeah.
Perfect. And he is coming to you as an instructional technology specialist. And he's going to be kind of talking about how he's using Lucid in his capacity within higher ed. And we're going to be focusing on whether you're working with adults and giving a professional development, a workshop, or whether you're working with students in the classroom. What are great ways to kind of take those presentations that you might have given in the past and enhance that engagement and those learning experiences. Also, I saw a couple of brand new people, so I'll make sure at the very end to also give you the link to where to go to learn everything you need to know about Lucid. So you'll get that at the end in case you are brand new to Lucid. So first off, introductions. Hello, I'm Vanessa Cicero. I am the teaching and learning consultant here at Lucid for Education, meaning that I kind of live, breathe using Lucid for instructional purposes. And a lot of times I get to meet awesome people like Chris. And so I get to learn from professors, from teachers, from instructors about how they're using Lucid to benefit students. And then I'll pass it off to Chris for his introduction.
Thanks. I'm Chris Cardenas. I work at Utah Valley University as an instructional technology specialist, and I became a Lucid fanatic over the summer. So, testing it out and figuring out how we can use it to improve higher education. So, I'm happy to present on what I've learned.
Awesome. Now, before we get into hearing all from Chris, a quick agenda so you know what to expect today. We're going to start with some icebreakers. We already did one, our meet and greet, and then we're going to do some fun puzzles. Then we're going to do some updates. I have some updated resources that I'll give you links to. Then we're going to learn from Chris. And then finally, at the very end, we'll have a collaborative board, just like we had our meet and greet, where you can also share any ideas, presentations, things you're thinking about. Just kind of give everybody a place to kind of brain dump, either things they've done in the past they'd like to share with others, or something they're looking forward to that they learned from today's session. So to start off, we're going to go ahead and jump into our icebreakers, and then I'm going to come back to our updates. So I'm going to go ahead and send out our Rubus puzzles. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, but I'm going to send out the link to this breakout board. And if you click on this breakout board link from the chat, you'll get in here. And then if you haven't done this before, in the bottom right-hand corner is a handy dandy table of contents. If you click the table of contents and then click on puzzle 1 from that list, it will zoom you in to the puzzle. And for this one, you're dragging out sticky notes to guess from this image what is the word or phrase they are trying to tell you. If you see somebody else's idea first, go ahead and put a heart or a thumbs up or some type of emoji if you also agree with that person's response. So I'll go ahead and start a timer for, we'll give everybody 30 seconds to get some ideas out there, add emojis if you have other people's ideas. And then just in case anybody popped in new, here is that link to get into our puzzle board and just drag a sticky onto it and let's see what we get. And don't forget that table of contents, click it on the bottom right-hand corner and it'll give you a list of all the puzzles and you can go ahead and click on those. And I should probably hide the puzzles because you guys you're too ahead. Get out of my puzzles. I didn't say for you to go all the way down to the bottom yet. So I went ahead and hid those puzzles. We are just on puzzle 1. Okay, so we have a smart group coming in today. So now, without further ado, drum roll, I'm going to go ahead and unhide our key. And you are correct. The correct answer is forget it, because there's four get it. You guys are way smarter than me. I had to use the answer key for shoresies. All right, so using your table of contents, go ahead and click on puzzle 2. That will bring you down to the second puzzle. And now you'll notice I've been a better teacher this time, and I hid it until I was ready for you to get to it. So I'm going to go ahead and unhide the puzzle. Go ahead and drag out a sticky note. For this puzzle, what do you think is that word or phrase? Use an emoji if you see somebody else has it on the board already, to show that you agree with theirs. Okay. We'll count down from 10. Okay, and without further ado, let's take a look and reveal our puzzle. Try to understand. You guys are crushing it. All right, I should have picked harder ones, I'm noticing. All right, now let's go ahead down to puzzle 3. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and reveal our next Rubik's puzzle. Go ahead and drag onto the sticky note what you're thinking. Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's reveal our answer key. And yet again, you guys are crushing it. Downtown. And I looks like I accidentally named the next one also puzzle 3. So go ahead down to the second puzzle 3 on your collaborative board. And let's go ahead and open it up. Okay, and let's see what we're getting. Okay, counting down from 10, 9, okay. And once again, crushing it. Not even one other thing. Once again, our next community of practice, I'm going to throw you guys way harder puzzles. We're going to take it to the expert level for our icebreakers. And then last, if you're wondering where do you find all these, I just pulled these off of this website. So I wanted to include that because you're always like, hey, that was fun. How could I do that again? So feel free to try out any of those puzzles. Awesome puzzles. That's right. Whoop, whoop. Okay, so I hope everybody had a little bit of fun. Saw another way that you could utilize Lucid to kind of kickstart any of your meetings, your lessons, your PD sessions, your workshops with something that's a little bit fun to get everybody else more excited. And I guess another way we could have done this is also at the bottom here. If you see any other puzzles that you have yourself, feel free to add those to the board. I should have done like, okay, now tell us if you have any puzzles or word games. Feel free to add those at the bottom to have a little bit of fun today. But with that, I'm going to go ahead, and if you could now go to wherever I'm presenting on your screen, I'm going to pop back in to the main board now that we've had some fun. So wherever I am sharing, go ahead to that screen on your device. And I only have 2 quick updates for you that will hopefully be helpful to all of the instructors in the room. And the first one is a lesson plan on introducing Lucid Spark to students. If you click the link that I'm putting into the chat, this will get you your own copy of the lesson plan. And this kind of walks you through how you can, let's say you're using Lucid for the first time, and like before I actually jump into using it for instructional purposes, I want to make sure that they've had some time just to kind of learn the tools very quickly. This is a lesson plan that you can use for the collaborative version using Lucid Spark. And I put that link into the chat. And of course, if we have a lesson plan introducing Lucid Spark for students, we also have a lesson plan for introducing Lucid Chart to students. So I'm going to go ahead and pop this into the chat. So now you have both links, one for Lucid Spark, one for Lucid Chart. It gives you everything that you need in order to get started using either Lucid Spark or Lucid Chart, kind of giving them a quick intro guide into getting started so that when they're ready to start with you, they're ready to hit the ground running. And then again, here is my email. So in case you are working with these and you notice anything or have any questions, feel free to email me anytime. You're like, hey, I was trying out the lesson plan and I'm not sure what's going on. Feel free to email me and I'm happy to help you in that capacity. Okay, so quick updates for today. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass the time over to Chris, and he is going to walk us through how he is using Lucid in his capacity as an um, instructional technology specialist. Okay, so let me
Excellent.
stop sharing, and I will pass the time over to you, Chris.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And can I just add my 2 cents? I'm super excited for those resources that you just shared with us because I think that's a really huge uh, uh, win, or that's a very easy way that I'm seeing now that we can get. It's a good resource for us to give professors, for them to introduce Lucid to their students. Because before it's like, oh well, you have them do the badge and it takes a couple hours, and so but this is a lot easier than doing the badge for that takes a couple hours. So really, really awesome resource. I'm excited to share that in our um, uh, professional development sessions. Also, I wanted to give a shout out to um, uh, uh, all the work that Vanessa does for educators. I contacted her multiple times over the summer, and she was very gracious with me, responding to my emails and all my questions. And I scoured YouTube for all. I watched all the Lucid for Education YouTube videos. I read all the blogs, and I had all these questions. And so I created a giant document, and it just of like my mind dump of everything. And so Vanessa was very gracious with me in helping to clear things up and helping me to navigate everything. So if you have any questions, please contact Vanessa. She's more than willing to help you out. She's an awesome resource for you guys to leverage. All right, let me go ahead and share here. Share my whole screen. All right. Am I sharing? Can everyone see this? Okay, awesome. So, Lucid for Education. There are mainly two ways that I've found to use Lucid for education, particularly higher education. One way is to submit individual assignments in Canvas. That's one main way. There's a group way, there's group work, but it needs workarounds. And Lucid is ready to integrate with Canvas, but Canvas needs to get their act together and make their LMS a little bit more compatible. And the second way is to create engaging lectures. And the easiest way to create engaging lectures, instead of creating from scratch, because that takes an upfront learning cost in using Lucid, um, is to upload PDFs of your current lecture that professors have. So, um, the benefits of engaging lectures are, you can have these cool interactions, but it does take a little bit of time to learn. So let me go ahead and go over what exactly that looks like. So I did this in a professional development session. Sorry, for a team training. I was giving a team training on what's called the speed of trust, and so um, it's based off of this. Franklin Covey. They do business consulting, and they wrote this book called The Speed of Trust, which consists of 13 behaviors of high trust teams and how effective that can be, and how it can improve productivity in the workplace. So I thought, and I love it, and so I was like, hey, we should learn about this, and I have the cards and everything. And so they have the 13 behaviors in these cards and a lot of insightful things. So what I did was I created this presentation in Lucid. I was like, I had recently consulted with Vanessa, read all of the things on Lucid. So let me go ahead and just kind of show you what that looked like here. First, we started off with an icebreaker. Um, and then we went into the presentation, and then I kind of introduced it a little bit, and I said, okay, now click on your breakout room. And so um, I assigned different members of our team to either the red room or the blue room, and then they clicked on their room. And when they went to their breakout room, I had taken photos. You can see here, I had taken photos of the 13 behaviors, the front and the back, and I uploaded those images and imported them into these boards. And it doesn't have too much commentary because I only gave them a couple minutes because I didn't have much time for the training. It was like 15 minutes, so I said you have 60 seconds or 2 minutes or whatever. So this was just like a testing out Lucid anyway. So but they were able to, I added these sticky notes and stickers for them to use so they could, they added their comments. They could add their comments on what they thought about this behavior. They could say, oh no, they can add an X here and say, I don't like lying or deceiving, or say, put a heart here and say, yes, I love talking straight, being honest with people, telling the truth. They can even click on the highlighter button and say, yes, I love this phrase here, genuinely care for others, and then be ready to report back on that and when we get back together. So, what they did was they, commented, they highlighted, as you can see here, and then when we got back together, so the first group had habits or behaviors 1 through 7, and then the second group had behaviors 6 through 13, and you can see here the second group also commented and put emojis and hearts and whatnot to different parts, different behaviors. And then what I did was I copied those breakout rooms boards and I put them together here on the main board. And then we talked about it as a team. I said, oh, cool. Why did you highlight this? Or why did you comment that? Or why did you put a heart emoji there? And so as we talked about it, this was a really fun collaborative way for us to simultaneously annotate something digitally and then talk about our annotations in real time. So then I went back to the presentation and continued with the 4 cores of credibility. And when it got to this slide, I added stickers. So I said, which one of these calls your attention the most? And you can add here, oh, I like this one the most, or this one, and they can add their emojis, and then we can talk about it. And then continuing to the next slide, then we start to dissect each of the 4 components of trust, four cores of credibility. And so then here they can add a sticky note and say, add their comment, yes, I really like this quote about integrity because blah blah blah, and then add all their commentary here, and then we can talk about it per slide. So that was generally what I did, and it added engagement to the session. It wasn't simply me lecturing the whole time, but rather an interaction of active learning. And that's the main thing that I think Lucid hits on is it's interactive and engaging. It hits on active learning, which is a core feature that we want to enhance in our university lectures. So how can a university professor use this to enhance their lecture? Plenty of university lectures or university professors already have their lectures all set, so they're not going to say, well, I'm not going to create a new presentation in this thing called Lucid. I already have my presentation I've been teaching for the past 10 years, and it's the best thing, and it's my thing. I know what to expect. And so what I propose is you can download your lecture that you're already teaching from whether it's Google Slides or PowerPoint, Microsoft PowerPoint, and download it as a PDF, upload it into Lucid, and simply add in these little stickers and interactive components to it as a simple yet engaging way to help students learn. So this is how to do it. So if I'm in Lucid here, you're going to go to the left-hand side where it says import. Okay, well, actually, first you're going to download your presentation as a PDF. I already did, but I'm pretty sure. Let me just make sure. So if I download this Speed of Trust Google Slides, or this could be a physics presentation, a physics lecture, or this could be a math lecture, or this could be a history lecture, whatever the case is, and then I'll download it as a PDF. Once it's downloaded, Then I'll go to this import button here on the left, or I can just drag it down. But the button here is the import button. Import a PDF. And there's my speed of trust. And now it's being imported. It usually takes a minute or so for all of the individual slides to pop into this little thing here, but this little icon. But I already did that beforehand, so I'm going to show you in this other Lucid here. So this is fully downloaded. So once I click on it, I can click this button here that says extract thumbnails, and then it'll show me all of the slides. It calls the slides thumbnails. So I'll click all, select all of the slides and say, yes, I want to bring all of these into this Lucid chart or Lucid Spark file. And then boom, it's taking out all of them. Great. Once it takes all of them out, then I can go ahead and just delete this PDF icon. And then I'm going to create my interactive presentation based off of the lecture I just did. So imagine downloading your slides and uploading them into Lucid takes a matter of moments, just 2 minutes. So then what we can do here, in order to make it a presentation where you click next and then it goes to the next slide, you have to make a path. And then in order to make a path, you have to have each slide of your path presentation be what's called a frame. So the way you can make each of these slides a frame is by clicking on each slide, and then with this with these options that appear, you click more, and then there's an option that'll say add frame around selection. So once I add frame around selection, boom, that's my frame. Notice how the frame is a little bit larger than my slide. That's usually going to be the case. And that's actually a good thing, because then it'll give you space around each slide where students can add their comments and emojis and whatnot. So once you kind of get an idea for how big the frame is, then you can kind of move the rest of the slides over. And then once you space them out horizontally, then you'll space them out vertically. And then just add a frame to each one. I'll just add a couple frames. I won't add a frame to each of them. So then I'll go ahead and click the second slide. Click add a frame around it. The third slide, add a frame around it. Now, notice how each of these frames says frame 1, frame 2, frame 3. You should rename these to whatever the slide is. So here I'm going to call it title. Here I'm going to call it 13 behaviors. Then I'm going to call this one trust cards and role plays. So by the way, we did role plays during the presentation. That's why it says role plays. Okay, so I just did 3, but you would imagine you can just continue this and do it for the rest of them. The reason you rename these is because now when you're going to create a path, which is basically creating the presentation with the arrow button, where if you click the next arrow, it'll take you to the next slide, you're going to have to choose which ones you want to go in what order. So, and you shouldn't put like numbers 1, 2, 3, because you might want to switch up the order, and then you'll have to switch the title, and that'll get confusing. So just put like a name the frames whatever the slide is. So if I go here to path, I'm going to click on create path, and then I'm going to name this path my trust presentation. Then I'm going to go ahead and just click on the ones that I want to add. If I want to add the title one first, then I click that one first. If I want to add 13 behaviors next, I click that one next. Notice how if I unclick it and click the other one next, it'll add that one as the second slide. But I don't want that one as the second slide, so I want the 13 behaviors as the second slide, then trust cards and role plays as the third slide, and then I'm done. Once I'm finished with the path, then I can click on it, and when I present, it'll have them appear in that order, and it'll move through them in that order. Then lastly, or maybe not lastly, maybe you could add the interactions first, but you can add the sticky notes and the um, emojis and the stickers in under more tools, which is this colorful icon over here, and then quick tools. Then it'll show you kind of like the sticker bank, and I'll just put the sticker bank here. Make it a little smaller. And then, there you go. Oh, it looks like the smallest it can go. So then it looks like I might have to just readjust the size of the rest of these things, which you can do by clicking and everything, and then just expanding. So once you're finished with this, expanding everything, then you can have students, okay, raise your hand if you know, interact with this slide if you're ready for the speed of trust. How are you feeling today? You know, and then some people put in this, some people put an X. You know, I've never heard of this before, and whatnot. And so you'll get, this is a nice, you know, easy way to get interaction. And looks like I can make this a little bit bigger still, but you get the idea. Once you have everything you need sized appropriately, then I can go ahead and add another quick tools such as the sticky note bank. I'll add right there and say, okay, everybody, now add, what do you from without cheating, nobody cheat. You know, what do you remember are the 13 behaviors of trust? Let's see if we can make or remember all the 13 behaviors of trust, high trust collectively. And everyone's like, okay, which ones? You know, I think one of them was be honest. Yeah, so be honest. And then each sticky note will have the person's name on it and whatnot. And then collectively, hopefully, all of the 13 behaviors are recollected. And so imagine that instead of simply going through your slides saying, okay, today we're going to go over speed of trust. And then next we're going to go, okay, so 13 behaviors of high trust. There are these 13 behaviors of high trust, blah, blah, blah. You actually have all the students participate with you. And obviously doesn't have to be every single slide, but maybe there's a practice problem here, right? And then you want to add, you know, what a question, even if it's a STEM course. If you have, you know, find the velocity of this train A, which one's going to get to the train station first, right? The typical physics problem, train A or train B. You can have sticky notes and say, have them put in their responses, their answers on sticky notes, or you can make them anonymous as well, or you can ask a different question. What part do you think is the hardest part solving this physics problem? And then people will put their sticky notes, and it's real-time feedback for you to respond to in class to address student concerns, student misconceptions. Any questions so far, I guess? I guess maybe
We got one
maybe
question about how to make student responses anonymous. So also one thing, do you mind sharing the how you kind of keep students from deleting things, moving things, kind of all
yes.
that stuff. And that's where we would also find the student responses anonymous would be great.
Yes. So every time you create a path, okay, so let me talk about the anonymous. So if you go over here, here, I guess maybe I should make myself a facilitator first. So if you go to the top right, this people icon, you're always going to want to make yourself the facilitator, because then you can um uh be like the one in control, kind of like Vanessa hid those frames in the beginning activity and we couldn't unhide those, but she could, so she was the facilitator. So I'm going to click here, make me a facilitator, and then um, it'll show this facilitator panel where you can have controls here. So you go to controls, you can add a timer, you can add voting, private mode, and then you can click show authors, which is on the sticky notes. It says, you know, it shows me as an author, or not. And so if I uncheck that, then the next time I pull a sticky note, it won't show me as an author. Look, maybe I have to save it.
So just
So
go ahead and click under the three people again. The show authors toggle,
oh yeah, right here.
only you can then toggle off show authors. It's kind of like you got to have two toggles to make it anonymous.
That's right. I forgot. So this is whether or not you have the ability, and then here's where you do it. So once I toggle it off here under the people tab again, after I make myself a facilitator, then once I pull it down, you'll see there's no Christopher Cardenas right there, and then that's what we'll make it anonymous. And also, it also anonymizes the previously shown authors on sticky notes. Perfect. Okay, so this method of going through, let me go back here. So this method of uploading your PDF of a current lecture, whether it be a PowerPoint that you download as a PDF or Google Slides or wherever you have your presentation, and then uploading it into Lucid will allow you to create engaging lectures and foster active learning. Again, the pros are using existing lecture presentations. You don't have to make anything from scratch other than, and then you simply drag and drop the visual activities to edit the slides. You have the teacher controls, such as the show authors, student names, or make them anonymous. You can invite others to me, which is where if they're perusing the rest of the slides or they're somewhere else on Lucid, you can click this button and it'll allow them to come to whatever slide that you're on. You have cool extra features such as a built-in timer, a built-in poll, and a bunch of other interactive features as well. The only thing is, it's our job, it's my job to teach professors how to use this. So, creating a path versus a presentation. I made that mistake in a different session. You want to always use the path, not the presentation ability, which is somewhere on the right-hand side here. Um, Editing visual activities and viewing results live. So the visual activities sometimes takes a little bit of learning, so you might want to hold off on teaching how to use the icebreakers. And then using teacher controls in a live session. So teaching professors how to use the teacher controls. So they in turn, just like you were asking, can control all of these features. So I created a document called Lucid Notes. So if you click on this link, it'll take you to a document that where I compiled a bunch of other things as well. It's more like a mind dump, so I apologize. It's not super organized, but there are some things I feel you can probably glean from. I basically synthesized the YouTube videos, the blogs, the different pages of tutorials, even the badges. I did the Credly badges certificate courses via Lucid, and I kind of just combined it all into a mind dump on this document. So feel free to use this if you um, if you feel it, if you want to kind of dive in the deep end, I guess. All right. With that, I guess I can open it up to any more questions.
Perfect. Yeah, and I see some questions. I think we got most of the questions answered in the chat. And I got some other questions just kind of about going back towards our new people who are brand new to using Lucid. So I'll make sure to kind of give a quick overview for anybody who's new to Lucid. Any other questions, though, specifically for Chris about just in general what he's learned, anything else before we hop into some basics? Okay, and then with that, oh, perfect. Yes, Chris, favorite modality. So do you like using it in person, asynchronous, through Zoom? What is your favorite way to use Lucid for instruction?
I haven't tested it not in person. I've only tested it face to face, but the way that I've seen it done here with Vanessa, it seems very effective. So I think both seem effective to me. So
Perfect, thanks. Okay, and then have you experienced any accessibility issues when importing your slides to Lucid?
I have not. So that might be something to look into and test. Let me see. I think I fell behind here.
And then here again is also that accessibility. You can actually reach out directly to our accessibility team on this website. It gives you that direct email address. So it gives you all of the information that we have related to accessibility currently, as well as direct outreach. So you can email our direct accessibility team. One thing I recommend is with the accessibility, you can right click and add alt text on top of any of those slides. Or if you know that you have accessibility as a major concern with a student in your course, a lot of times I'll tell them to kind of copy and paste some of their slides into Lucid rather than just importing them as images, as kind of a workaround in the moment. As we're working on our roadmap with accessibility, as that's always kind of a moving target that we're always trying to make sure we are meeting. So great question. Any other questions specific to Chris? Okay, and then before I hop in to kind of talking about Lucid, I got some questions specific to Canvas users. Um, Here is a share board. Some of you might have already gotten in there. I think I already see some ideas, which is great. Thank you, Emily Wyatt, already putting a bunch of really great ideas in here. So let me go ahead and copy this link. And again, today is all about sharing. Absolutely loved everything Chris shared today. So everybody, big claps and thank yous and everything in the chat for Chris today, taking time out of his day to kind of give us real life. How have I been using this in the trenches? And now to kind of have everybody else share, I'm going to give everybody a little bit of time. How have you been using Lucid specifically to enhance and increase that engagement? So in the chat, I added the link, or you can check out the breakout boards and look for the idea share. I love, oh, I'm complimenting myself now. I just saw the link. And so I was like, ooh, they added a link. So as you drag out sticky notes to include some of your ideas or different things that you've used, you can also attach a link to any of your examples, your presentations, templates that you're using. So as people are looking through, then you can kind of give them real life Lucid documents that they could go in and try out themselves as well. So I'm going to go ahead and give everybody about 5 minutes to hop into the idea share, share some of your ideas, and then look through what other people have put. And then we'll use the last 15-ish minutes for anybody who's just getting started in Lucid. I'll kind of do a rewind. And now that we've got some great ideas, we've got to play with it a little bit. We've heard from Chris. I'll kind of talk through some basics of getting started with Lucid, either inside or outside of Canvas, as well as, okay, how do I actually get these resources to my students, especially embedding them in Canvas as collaborative activities and pushing them out as assignments. Like Chris also mentioned, today we are mostly focusing on engaging presentations, but I will also show you how you can push out assignments to each student so they get their own copy as well. Okay, so I'll stop talking and I'm going to focus on this collaborative board. I love all the collaboration that I'm already seeing. And now that I've been talking, I'm going to give us 4 minutes on the timer. Go ahead and start sharing some examples, linking out to any examples you might have. If you're brand new, drag out a sticky note and just share what you're excited about using this for. And then I got a lot of questions about async and what it feels like. This is not embedded in Canvas, but I have a couple I have an asynchronous training menu that's basically up on our website that I use to train teachers and instructors in an asynchronous capacity. So I will share this out. This one leans a little bit more K-12 as who would be taking these asynchronous courses, but you can kind of pop in and kind of feel it out as what it would be like to participate in an async course. So let me just grab that share link for you and I will pop that in to our share board. Okay, and then Steve, I am seeing you're talking about digital manipulatives inside of asynchronous courses. I'm going to quickly attach a link for you. It's nothing we haven't really talked much about visual activities today, but I have created a visualizing thinking toolkit that kind of has a ton of digital manipulatives. So once I find it, I will make sure I get that linked to your board. And then we have a question here. So before we get started, we've got a couple questions actually. So let me answer those before we get started, but huge Thank you to everybody sharing and how they've been using it, linking out to other ideas so we can kind of all hopefully move forward collaboratively together. So, questions. Where's the document in the share board? Michelle, which document in the share board are you looking for? If you don't mind clarifying which one. And then, can you make a game board so that when everybody lands on a space, they see directions for what to do? Heather, yes and no. We can set that up in my email. Email me back and I can kind of send you a couple resources because we would have to kind of set it up in a specific way. But we can set it up. And then can you save or track all participations during an interactive presentations after it is over? Let's say we need to grade for attendance. Great question. So let me go ahead and share my screen and I'm going to drag this on to the canvas. So when we're looking at our collaborative board, those of you, I saw some people familiar with Jamboard. Jamboard had a version history or a document history. In the upper left-hand corner, you can click on the cloud, and that will show you the email address of every student who has collaborated. So you can kind of go through here to get an idea of everybody who collaborated in the board. But then a quick, like, how can I do that a little bit faster? You can,
Hey,
there's a,
Vanessa.
oh yeah.
Sorry, it looks like you're sharing your desktop. Uh,
Oh, I
not,
dragged it
yeah,
over. So
you're good.
never mind. Thank you for letting me know before I got too far. Let's try this share again. Okay, share. And I want three. Okay. So now you should be seeing it. And one more time, it's the cloud in the upper left-hand corner. This gives you that full, every single edit that has ever been made to this document, which is really great for seeing what was done. If you're working on group projects, it's a great way to see if, so-and-so did pretty much all the work and so did not. So it's great for a lot of different ways, but it's an intense list. If you're looking for a quick who collaborated and who didn't, there's also, I have a community post about this as well. So if you search our community, which I'll show you how to access, you can find that as well. One professor, I can't remember, Chris, if this was you or not, somebody shared me this, where if you do like Command F or whatever your normal search shortcut is, and you search for their name, because their names are on the bottom right-hand corner of sticky notes, then you can say, okay, here's Vanessa's, hit enter, 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 quickly see everything that Vanessa did, and then I could come in to Chris. Oh, Chris didn't add anything. Come on, Chris, let's go. Um,
Well, I added comments and I added emojis to view. I added a link to someone's.
okay, perfect. Just kidding. So here we've got Renee, so I can search through Renee's. So you could just type in whatever their name is and quickly go through that as well. There are a couple other ways, but I find that to be the fastest. Just use your Command F and kind of click through each of your students' work. Inside of Canvas, this is also just a workaround some professors have used. They will ask students, hey, go ahead and take, screenshots of your participation and include that in like a file upload on a Canvas assignment because they want to really get into it and have the students kind of prove it and give it to them in an easy way through SpeedGrader rather than you having to look through everything. So you could just have them take a couple screenshots of all their participation on the board and submit that in an assignment with a file upload. But I'll show you a couple different ways inside of Canvas. So let me go back to my questions. Okay, do. Okay. Oh, yes. Sorry. I was putting my creation into the ShareBoard. I will try. I couldn't find it. So I'll make sure to send it in the follow-up email for anybody who wanted to see the digital manipulatives. I couldn't find it off the bat. Okay, so let me see. Do. And yes, in the follow-up email, Holly, I will send a link to the presentation so you can continue to access everybody's ideas. And when you're dragging out the emojis, they cannot But if you're using, so we had a question about can you see who added the emojis onto a board? You, from the sticker bank that we utilized in the quick tools, if you drag out a sticker bank and they're using these to respond, this is more anonymous. You can't really see who's adding those. But if they're clicking on a board and adding an emoji using the toolbar from any image, shape, sticky note, when you hover over these stickies and they're logged in, you'll notice that you can see who specifically added those emojis to the board. Okay, so I think I got through all of those questions, but feel free at the end. I'll stick around for any Q&A at the very end as well. But now to kind of rewind, take a step back for anybody who's brand new to using Lucid. As most of you know, you have access to Lucid through Canvas. So when I go in to Lucid through Canvas, so let me switch over to my other teacher profile. So when you're in Canvas, you can access Lucid from the navigation pane of any Canvas course. So if I come into any course, you'll notice that there is a Lucid whiteboard icon on the left-hand side. And then if you're using Lucid outside of the world of Canvas, then you should have your normal log instructions that your institution has given you. And then you can just log in directly to your dashboard. But if you're a Canvas user, you can click on the Lucid whiteboard icon from within any Canvas course, giving you the handy dandy bookmark to your Lucid dashboard. And then when you get into your Lucid dashboard, you can pre-create any of these activities. So let's say I'm going to go into my templates section, and you'll notice from within the template section on the bottom left-hand side, we have a ton of templates being used in industry, as well as the education tab. This is probably where you'll go most often. You'll notice you can click on higher ed to get higher ed specific examples and K-12 to get K-12 specific examples. So if we click on higher ed, and let's say we were looking for any of these different items, you can click and open and use any of these different templates. I can also search, and we're talking about discussion boards. So let's say I look up discussions, and it helps if you actually search by spelling it correctly. But we found a class discussion parking lot, great for getting questions throughout a presentation, especially if you're lecturing to a large group and you don't want to stop for all of the different questions, but you want to make sure that you can answer them after. So we'll just use this discussion board. And inside of here, you'll notice that you can edit any of the content. So for here, I might say, what are you thinking about? Doot, doot, doot. And then maybe I change this to be before the lesson. And maybe this is after the lesson. So just a basic generic board. And like you saw in mine and in Chris's, locking is your best friend. So before I embed this in Canvas or push out the share link, if I'm not using Canvas, I'm going to highlight, and from the toolbar, make sure to lock the content you don't want students to move, change, delete, all of that fun stuff. And then like Chris mentioned, I'm going to also click on those three people in the upper right-hand corner, come down to make me a facilitator, and turn on those controls. And I just like to toggle all of these bad boys on, but you can determine, you can read through them, decide what do you want students to be able to access and what don't you want them to be able to access. Now that I have my board made, my board locked, I can name the board so I know discussion for course blah, and the date. So today is, I think, 9/9/25. So you can name it, you have it ready. Now, you can share using your big blue share button in the upper right-hand corner. And so I can turn on a share link and decide, do I want them to log in or have them not need to log in with anyone with the link? I can use any logged in user, which does make them log in. And then I could keep them within my domain if I prefer. I usually recommend any logged in user. So then that way you get their names attached to their responses. But if you want it to feel more anonymous, like I'm seeing here, you can do anyone with the link. It doesn't require a login, so they can come in and they'll get those names like Anonymous Moose. That is what I used to share out in case anybody didn't have accounts today. That way they can get in. I don't have to worry about logging in, but they can still collaborate. And then I usually recommend the edit permissions and not edit and share. The students get slightly less permissions when you select edit. So then I can have my link selected, copy this link, and now paste it in any learning management system that you have. Students click on it. Just like today, they come into a collaborative environment. We're all collaborating together. Now, those of you with Canvas, you have an even better option. So when I come into Canvas, I can go to a page inside of Canvas, and I want to embed this collaborative board that I created on the page for my students. So I'm just going to open up a page wherever you go through modules to create your pages, wherever the rich content editor lives, you can embed a collaborative board. So right here in my rich content editor, you'll notice the big black L. When you click on the big black L, it will open up your Lucid dashboard. Now, if you don't see the black L, just click on your plug and you can look through and find the embed Lucid document option. That brings you to the same place. And then it'll bring you into your dashboard. You find the board you would like to embed on the Canvas page for students to collaborate. So I'm going to come right here's my discussion. And now you decide for this exact board, do you want them to be able to edit, comment, or view? Edit is where the magic happens. So that's most often what you'll select. And then you can come down and go ahead and save. I usually wait to publish until you're ready for students to actually get in there and get started. This is also why it works great for async, because you can have it published on your Canvas page living there. Students can come in at their own time, add different stickies to the board, collaborate, review what other students have done, and then move on to the next section. And then, of course, you can open it in a new tab or go full screen for a better kind of experience, more editing space. If I drag out a sticky note, if somebody else drags a sticky note, everybody sees everything being added to the board in real time. Just like with the link share, except you're embedding it on the Canvas page to make that access and finding your document a little bit easier. So that's kind of the process for pushing out collaborative activities. Since we don't have a lot of time, if you want to push out, let's say I found in my templates, a research paper outline. I want to push it out to each of my students. So every student gets their own copy. When you go into Canvas, you go to Assignments. And then instead of using the black L from the rich content editor, think black L, collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. And down here in the submission type, when you select the dropdown, you'll actually find Lucid as an option. So you can click Lucid as a submission type, click the button that pops up, and now just like you could embed a collaborative document, I can select a template that will push out this template. So each student gets their own copy, and then it'll pull in a PDF version of what they worked on into SpeedGrader. And unlike the collaborative version, this one templates for you. So we're not in this exact one. Each student is getting their own embedded on the Canvas page to work on and then turn back in to the instructor or teacher through SpeedGrader. And then for those of you who might not be using Canvas, if you convert any of your templates to a template, then you can get a force copy link that you could push out to students as well if you don't have the Canvas integration. So you can just say File, Convert to Template, put it in that education section. And now when you go into your documents, there is actually a section called Created by You. These are all of the templates that you converted to a template. And when you click on the eyeball and you click on the three dots, you can grab a share link that is a force copy link. So you can copy this link. Each student gets their own copy and they can work on it and then use a link to share their version of the template back to you. Now, I kind of went through like a really quick speed version of getting started with Lucid. I saw a question, will we send a recording? Yep, anybody who registered today will get a recording. And last but not least, if you're looking for all things Lucid, I'm going to start with the K-12 Hub. If you click on this link, it will send you to all of the K-12 resources related to Canvas or not Canvas, just everything you wanted to know. And then the Higher Ed Instructor Hub, here is the second one. Here is our Higher Ed Instructor Hub. And this will give you, again, all of the resources, either inside, outside of Canvas, how you can get started, examples, all of that fun stuff. And then last, here's also my email. Like Chris said, feel free to reach out anytime. I am happy to hop on a call. You also have access to free training for specific institutions. So I'm happy to provide training for your institution. Again, it's free. Yay. So feel free to reach out anytime. And then before I say adieu, though, let's all send into the chat huge thank yous to Chris. Thank you, thank you, thank you for sharing today. I absolutely love how you're creating engaging presentations using Lucid. So let's show Chris some love in the chat before we say adieu today. And then again, you have my email. So if you have any questions I wasn't able to answer today, just shoot me an email and I'm happy to answer that or hop on a call to dig into it more deeply. Okay, so with that, we will all say goodbye today. I want to make sure respect everybody's time, and I hope you all had fun at this quarter's Community of Practice, and keep a lookout. We do these every 3 months, so I'll hopefully see you at the next one, and I'll be sending out all of the follow-up resources and the recording as soon as it loads. So thanks again. And again, Chris, huge shout out. Thank you, thank you, thank you. We appreciate you and all the awesome things you're doing.